The word mafia conjures images of shadowy figures in suits, backroom deals, and a code of silence enforced by ruthless loyalty. But beyond the Hollywood glamour and tales of notorious gangsters, the mafia has had a profound and often overlooked influence on the very fabric of American history. From the Prohibition era to the rise of Las Vegas, and from labor unions to politics, the mafia's reach has extended into nearly every corner of American society. Today, we unravel the tangled web of the mafia's influence on American history, a tale of power, corruption, and survival. To understand the mafia's influence on America, we must first journey back to its roots. The American Mafia, also known as La Cosa Nostra, emerged from the late 19th and early 20th centuries, born out of the hardships faced by Italian immigrants. As these immigrants struggled to find their place in the New World, they formed tight-knit communities, often turning to familiar structures from their homeland to survive in the face of discrimination and poverty. In Sicily, where many of these immigrants hailed from, the Mafia was already a well-established institution. Originally formed as a means of protection against foreign invaders and corrupt governments, the Sicilian Mafia operated under a code of silence, known as omerta, and dealt in violence, extortion, and illegal trade. When these Sicilian traditions crossed the Atlantic, they were adapted to the new environment, giving rise to what would become the American Mafia. Prohibition, a nationwide constitutional ban on the production, importation, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages from 1920 to 1933, was the spark that ignited the Mafia's explosive rise to power. With alcohol suddenly illegal, demand didn't disappear, it simply went underground. The Mafia seized the opportunity to control the lucrative bootlegging industry, supplying speakeasies with illicit liquor and reaping immense profits. Figures like Al Capone in Chicago and Lucky Luciano in New York City became household names, their criminal empires growing as they battled rivals and law enforcement alike. The Mafia's influence extended beyond alcohol, as they began to diversify into other illegal activities, including gambling, prostitution, and drug trafficking. The immense wealth generated during Prohibition allowed the Mafia to expand its operations, solidifying its place in American society. As the Mafia's power grew, so did its ambitions. Recognizing the potential to control vast swaths of the American workforce, the Mafia began to infiltrate labor unions, particularly in industries like construction, trucking, and longshoremen. By controlling these unions, the Mafia gained the ability to influence the economy, extort businesses, and secure contracts through intimidation and violence. Perhaps the most infamous example of Mafia influence in labor unions is the case of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, led by Jimmy Hoffa. Hoffa's close ties to the Mafia allowed the union to grow into one of the most powerful in the country, but it also brought corruption and criminal activity to its core. The Mafia's control over unions wasn't just about money, it was also about power. By manipulating labor strikes and negotiations, the Mafia could exert pressure on businesses and politicians, further entrenching their influence in American society. While the Mafia's influence was felt across America, perhaps nowhere was it more visible than in Las Vegas. The post-World War II era saw the transformation of Las Vegas from a dusty desert town to a glittering metropolis, largely thanks to Mafia money. Mobsters like Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky recognized the potential of legalized gambling in Nevada and poured millions into the construction of casinos, turning Las Vegas into the entertainment capital of the world. But these casinos were more than just glamorous resorts, they were also money laundering operations for the Mafia. The skim, or the practice of taking a percentage of casino profits before they were officially reported, allowed the Mafia to funnel huge sums of money into the criminal enterprises. For decades, the Mafia's control over Las Vegas was near absolute, with law enforcement and politicians turning a blind eye in exchange for bribes and kickbacks. The Mafia's influence wasn't limited to the criminal underworld, it also extended deep into the halls of power. Throughout the 20th century, the Mafia cultivated relationships with politicians, judges, and law enforcement officials, using bribery, blackmail, and favors to ensure their operations went unchallenged. The Mafia's ability to influence elections and control key political figures meant that they could operate with near impunity, further embedding themselves into the fabric of American society. One of the most notable examples of the Mafia's political influence was the relationship between the Kennedy family and the Mafia. Allegations have long persisted that Joseph Kennedy, the patriarch of the Kennedy family, had connections to the Mafia, which helped secure John F. Kennedy's election as president in 1960. While these claims remain controversial, they underscore the extent to which the Mafia was entangled with American politics. The Mafia's dominance in American society began to wane in the latter half of the 20th century, as law enforcement agencies, led by the FBI, launched aggressive campaigns to dismantle organized crime. The use of wiretaps, undercover operations, and the racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations, RICO, Act allowed authorities to take down entire mafia families, leading to high-profile convictions and the collapse of once powerful criminal empires. While the Mafia's power may have diminished, its influence on American history remains undeniable. The Mafia shaped the development of key American institutions, from labor unions to Las Vegas, and left a lasting imprint on the nation's politics, economy, and culture. The Mafia's story is a cautionary tale of the dangers of unchecked power and the corrosive effects of corruption, but it's also a story of resilience, adaptation, and survival. The Mafia may have been born in the shadows, but its impact has been felt in the light of day. From the rise of organized crime during Prohibition to the construction of modern-day Las Vegas, the Mafia's influence on American history is both profound and complex. As we look back on this dark chapter of our past, we're reminded that history is often shaped by those who operate in the shadows, out of sight, but never out of mind. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories of history.